When a typhoon hits Manila, it doesn't hit everyone equally. Some people drown in floods, others end up losing everything.
It's a now or never, do or die situation.
So parang
It's like every time it floods, all the memories come back.
Parang memories na nagtuthrowback na.
And meanwhile, others cash in.
Let out the anger, let out the frustration.
Those people in power will determine who gets to live and who gets to be killed.
When Typhoon Ondoy struck in 2009, it left most of Metro Manila submerged. It dumped an entire month's worth of rain in just a few hours. More than 200 people died, and hundreds of thousands of families were displaced from their homes.
We were victims of Typhoon Ondoy in 2009. So this is the first time I was able to see yung ganong magnitude ng flooding in Metro Manila. And I keep on wondering why.
That question became Professor Timothy James Cipriano's life's work. Today he studies why floods keep coming and why prevention isn't working. It's vital work as rainfall grows heavier and more erratic due to climate change, overwhelming defenses and putting millions at risk.
Based on evidence, there is an increase in temperature. Therefore, there's an increase of level of rainfall because of global warming, and then since there's a capacity for air to absorb more water vapor, mas lumalakas yung ulan.
From 1950 to 2024, annual precipitation in the Philippines increased by roughly 37%. What makes this trend even worse for Manila is its geography. The city sits on one of the country's widest floodplains. When storms strike, water has nowhere to go. This geographic disadvantage highlights the importance of natural defenses. High above Metro Manila's floodplain lies Masungi Georeserve, a lush landscape that acts like a natural sponge, absorbing rain before it can flow into the city below. Sisters Billy and Anne Dumaliang have made it their mission to protect this critical watershed, a lifeline against worsening floods. Today they're meeting a group of young visitors and seizing the moment to explain why preserving this area is vital for Manila.
The water that flows down these very steep mountains end up in the waterways in the Marikina and Pasig River before it ends up out in Manila Bay. And that's why, if you look at the geology, the topography of the area, it's naturally important to protecting the city from all of these flood that happens downstream.
When flooding occurs, it's the poorest people who are the hardest hit. Residents of informal settlements like here in Sitio San Roque, a low-income neighborhood squeezed between skyscrapers, highways and malls. This is where 16-year-old Eloisa lives. Flooding and its aftermath are part of her everyday life. Various urban development projects are supposed to mitigate the impact, but not for Eloisa's community. Water from higher-end neighborhoods is diverted to keep those areas dry, but at the expense of Sitio San Roque.
Mas pinalakas po yung pagbaha po dito, lalo na po yung dun po sa may projects.
The flooding
po ni
here has
Vertis
gotten
North,
worse,
yung dito po sa
especially
may
around the Vertis
gardens,
North
sa
projects
yung
and
mga
community
waters po
garden.
kasi ay
The
dito
water
po
gets
talaga
discharged
sa
here
binabansa.
into a creek that's
And
connected to our area.
connecta po
So
dito sa amin.
once
Kaya
all the
pag
water
once
is
po talaga
released,
na
there's a
ipalabas
real
po lahat ng
possibility that it
tubig
overflows.
ay may possible po talaga mag-overflow po yung ilog po dyan.
Eloisa lives with her parents in modest conditions. As the leader of Kadame Youth, the youth arm of the country's largest urban poor movement, she advocates for housing rights and fights to eradicate poverty.
I'm worried. I fear for our safety, especially when the water in Sitio San Roque gets really high. Sometimes it even enters the houses here.
Tapos pumapasok pa po siya sa mga bahay po dito.
Nearly 40% of Metro Manila's population live in informal settlements, often in low-lying areas with little drainage. When the water rises, there is no escape. The flimsy houses, built from wood and scrap metal, offer almost no protection. For many, flooding is no longer a rare occurrence. It shapes daily life.
We don't leave the house unattended, especially in the rainy season.
She aims to graduate high school in 2027, but floods make studying harder. Students can lose weeks of classes when schools close or are used as evacuation centers.
It affects my studies. One reason is that I can't concentrate properly when I keep thinking about it, wondering what will happen when the next flooding hits.
A fear made worse by the very people who should be protecting her community. There was outrage across the country when a vast corruption scheme was revealed inside the nation's flood control program that drained hundreds of billions of pesos from public funds. Investigations show that politicians, government officials and contractors colluded to inflate costs and systematically divert public money through kickbacks. In the latest corruption index, the Philippines has fallen to its worst position ever, 120th out of 182, underscoring how severely the country now lags behind other countries in the region.
What really frustrates me is they swore to the people that they're going to do their work, they will support and defend the Constitution. They swore to serve the people, but they make decisions that did not benefit the people.
Timothy shows us what he means. Just outside the capital, flood defenses tell a troubling story. Projects declared complete that were never started, left unfinished, or built so poorly they failed to work. The result? Broken barriers and communities left exposed when the waters rise.
It is declared completed, but in reality, it's not really that complete. Kasi may mga unfinished pang mga structures na kailangan pang gawin. And doon sa banda doon, kita natin na may mga nasirang flood wall. Perhaps this is due to the previous flash floods that happened along Marikina River. So, kailangan ayusin din yon.
Since the scandal came to light, hundreds of thousands of Filipinos have taken to the streets, demanding accountability, justice, and an end to systemic corruption. The demonstrations have grown into one of the largest civic movements of recent years, challenging the political establishment and dominating headlines. Protesters march under the banner of transparency, calling for reforms that could reshape the country's future. Like countless others, Timothy refuses to stay silent. For him, protesting is not just a choice, it is his duty, a fight for integrity in a system that has failed its people.
We cannot really afford to become silent in these kinds of issues because we are all taxpayers, and then all of a sudden you see government officials, contractors, and other key players in this corruption scandal. For me, as a science researcher, a protest is a form of my extension of expertise.
When heavy rain comes and the downpour lasts for days on end, Manila starts to flood. Water pools in LAs creeping into homes. For evacuation teams, this is when the work begins.
Escort this one first. We are transporting people for rescue, ma'am.
Pink works for the barangay disaster team. It wasn't her dream job, but she's found purpose in it.
I really want to be helpful. So this is where I ended up, becoming a rescuer. This is what I do now. I help other people.
When the monsoon approaches, Pink goes from house to house, guiding residents to the nearest evacuation center. The rain is relentless, and when the wind picks up speed, every minute counts. It's a job that can be dangerous and stressful, especially when small children are involved. For Pink, a mother of 3, that can be emotionally challenging.
I picked someone up here in Tangupay Extension because the water was already up to here. I was also carrying a baby. It was a difficult experience because I kept thinking of everything that could happen while I was carrying that baby.
When the waters rise, this is where people find refuge. During heavy monsoon rains in 2025, tens of thousands sought shelter in evacuation centers across the Philippines. For Pink, however, that's no comfort, but rather a stark reminder of the systemic failures of those in power.
If they weren't corrupt, maybe there would be fewer incidents. There wouldn't be as many accidents and so on. There wouldn't be situations that claim so many victims.
Pink keeps moving. She knows every second makes a difference for those who need urgent help. But while people like Pink struggle on the front lines, the roots of the crisis lie further upstream. What happens in the mountains decides how violently the floods hit the city. With healthy forest cover, only 20% of rainfall becomes surface runoff. Strip away that cover, and water cascades unchecked into rivers, overwhelming Metro Manila's defenses. Illegal resorts and unchecked construction threaten to wipe out this natural shield.
There's the threat of illegal and unauthorized development, such as swimming pool resorts inside the critical watershed. And unfortunately, some of those behind these private compounds are people in power or who were in power.
Power and privilege are often used to evade accountability.
It was really hard to promote enforcement because, in fact, the law is clear that if it's within the waterway easement, you have to demolish it and or penalize the perpetrators.
Despite lawsuits and intimidation, the sisters refused to back down. Their weapon? Communication. With hundreds of thousands of followers online, they've turned Masungi Geo Reserve into a symbol of successful environmental stewardship and a destination for sustainable tourism.
A key part of our community is being able to bring people here, and that's why the geotourism component is very important, because if a tree falls in Masungi, people will hear about it.
Raising awareness is fundamental for the sisters, and with momentum building, they see a real opportunity.
Now we have the unique chance to turn things around, to reverse the trend, because Filipinos are getting more aware, they're getting more concerned, they are feeling the effects of bad governance and bad land use planning. People are dying.
In Manila, the rain will keep falling, but whether it brings disaster or not is up to those in power to decide.